Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. To celebrate Earth Day, we thought that we would bring on a dynamic new perspective about Earth and what our role is here. On the program, we're going to be joined with someone who's going to talk about Earth as a sentient being and communication being. We're going to find out how we can attune to Earth's voice and vibration, connect to the beneficial energy and wisdom, which is Earth's essence, as well as the deeper meaning of solstice, creative energy of rock formations, and more. Our guest will explain that each of us have an important role to play in the health and well-being of our planet. The book is Earth Speaks Up, Dynamic New Perspective on Earth and Your Role Here. And our guest joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program is Ms. Mary McNerney. Mary, thank you for being on the program today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you, Daniel, and the listeners.
You must have had quite an insight that caused you to move this direction with your life and actually talk about Earth. Let's talk about how this all started for you.
Yeah, that's usually the first question people ask me when they see the book, and I like sharing this story because it's really not just about me. This is something we're all capable of doing, engaging with the Earth in this way. And for me, it started, well, I grew up on a wonderful farm in Ohio, so I think I was always had an affinity for nature, as I think a lot of people do. But then I followed the traditional path most of us do. I went off to college, and then I went on to law school, and for many years worked as a corporate attorney in international business. So I had a pretty traditional career. Left brain, is that our logic? I know left brain career. I don't know if that's logic or right brain is logic. But anyways, very rational, logic-centered work, pretty well ensconced in drafting contracts and buried in paperwork. And then I was home from work one day, or it was a holiday or something, and I was a lovely day out, and I was looking out the window and thinking, enjoying my free time, and thinking, what shall I do today? Thinking of grab my husband Steve and the dog and go out for a walk in the woods, or take my horse out, and I'm just relishing these ideas. And I happened to say aloud to myself, no one in particular, no one else was in the room, what shall I do today? And then, Daniel, I heard distinctly and profoundly the words, take dictation from the Earth. And I knew right away it was the angelic realm. No one else was in the room. And it was very shocking and, as I said, profound statement. And I thought, once I recovered from my surprise, I thought, surely that's intended for more illustrious spiritual type of our day, or a nature guru, but not me. And so I just put the whole episode and the concept in the back of my mind and pretty well forgot about it until about 6 months later I heard the same thing. And I didn't know what to do with this. I'm sure, like most of us, wouldn't know what to do with this information. And so I just, I'll give it a try. I just took a pen and paper and went out and sat on the edge of the woods in our backyard, and I sat there, and then just sat there kind of being open-minded. And then all of a sudden the dictation started coming. And it was quite clear to me from the beginning that I was being dictated a book, that it wasn't just information for me. This was information and guidance all about understanding our planet Earth and engaging with our planet Earth in an entirely new way. And it was like guidance for us as humanity for how to open ourselves to an entirely new way of being together on this planet and what our role here really is. And as this came forth, as this information came forth, it was quite clear to me it was the voice of our planet Earth expressing through me. And also was some angelic beings that came across to me. They only identified themselves as we, and it came across to me as a very advanced spiritual beings, sort of like very wise, serious professors. And I saw the multidimensional world we're really in. And it just shed a lot of light on this. For me, we perceive ourselves as in our 3D world and doing our jobs and taking care of our homes and our families and all this, and this is all unimportant. But there's a whole broader aspect to our lives in our multidimensional world that we've separated ourselves from and disconnected from. And the Earth, consciousness herself, and the angelic realm are here to support us individually and collectively, and guide us into a new relationship with our planet for Earth's well-being and for our own well-being. We're not separate. We're not separate beings. What benefits Earth benefits us, and vice versa. And it's all about we're all being guided into working together in this wonderful new way. So that's a short summary of how it began for me and how I would really like other people to be able to share in this too, because it's a wonderful new opportunity for us. And we all have the innate ability to connect with Earth, to listen to Earth, to hear Earth's expression in this way. We're all born with it. We just separate. I'm no one special, as I said. I was a typical corporate attorney. But it's something. It's an innate ability we all have, and the more we work with it, the more accomplished we can be with it.
I really enjoy as you read Earth Speaks Up to see how you have suggested exercises that people can use, and they're pretty easy, and a lot of them seem to be with getting a feel actually more than anything, of listening, of feeling, of being present with the Earth. And one of the things that really struck me, especially at the very beginning, was how you talk about humanity's thoughts in relationship to hurricanes, tornadoes, and things like that. Tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. This was a fascinating information for me too, Daniel, because all of this, when it's still awkward for me when you say you talk about, because although the book was written by me, the information that came through was not mine. It was all new information for me, and this part, what you're referring to about hurricanes and tornadoes, was amazing for me to recognize that we are aware that when we put out, when there's oil spills or there's, pesticides or all those things that are put into the earth, we're aware that has negative effects on the planet. We all recognize that. But what also is burdensome and has negative effects on the planet are our own toxic or negative energies and thoughts we put out. Of course, things like battle energy and wars, that, of course, creates a negative impact, but also our create negative or positive impacts, depending what we are expressing. And our negative thoughts are just as polluting for the earth as pesticides or whatever. It affects the planet in different ways, but it has the same burden. And our negative emotions, our negative thoughts, our battle energies, whether they're wars among nations or wars among neighbors, battles among neighbors, all of this gets spewed out and collected in the Earth's energetic field. Her energetic field is the atmosphere. And when we discharge our negative emotions and thoughts, we think, oh, it's gone. It's gone. Not my problem anyway. No, it exists. That vibration behind our thoughts exists. It has effect. It has impact on other people, on all of nature, and on the planet. And it collects and coagulates in the planet's energy field, in the atmosphere. And over centuries, over time, it builds up. And the only way Earth can clear this, it was explained to me, is through things like hurricanes and tornadoes. Those are her, the only tools she has to twist and spin and clear energy, remove it from her energetic field. And it doesn't matter when the negative emotions, negative vibrations from humanity were cast off. It matters that they're still there. And we happen to see hurricanes occur around Florida a lot. That doesn't mean that the Floridians have any more impact than us. It's just that's the area where Earth happens to do her hurricane clearing. It's just the way it happens there. But what was presented to me, what was presented to all of us, what was shared with all of us, are wonderful, simple exercises, simple meditations we can do to help clear and change our vibrational output so Earth doesn't have to do this. Once a hurricane or tornado comes into formation, there's not a lot we can do. But before those things come into formation, like now, there's a lot we as individuals can do to clear Earth's energetic field. And we were given this simple exercise of, I can run through it now quickly for you, or I don't know. When I do the exercise, I usually spend 15 minutes or so with it. It can be done in a minute or two. So I don't know if we
Sure, let's go ahead and give our listeners a feel. Take about a minute or 2 minutes, and then that way they can get a feel with what it is to be in the moment, if you will.
Yeah, and I'll do that, and I'll just mention beforehand that these are very simple exercises, and when they were first dictated to me, I was surprised how simple they were. I thought, I've got to be missing something. It should be more complex and detailed. But no, it was explained to me. We, in our human logical minds, think accomplishing something, doing something, has to be a big effort and complicated and procedural. But when we're working on this energetic level, which is what this book shows us, how to work beyond the physical, before the physical level, when we engage on this energetic level, which these exercises and meditations do, we can create change far more easily, far more simply than if we try and create change on our physical level after a problem has arisen. So that's why these are so simple. And this one we'll start with, in the book, it's exercise 2, for those of you who have the book or Speaks Up. And what we're first asked to do, I'm going to paraphrase now. It's put far more eloquently in the book, but I'm going to paraphrase. What we're first asked to do is select an area of land, of any place, maybe your yard, if you have a yard, or maybe a small park you're familiar with, or any landscape that you have an attachment to, whether you are there with it now or whether you're not. Doesn't matter if you live in a big apartment building in the middle of a city. Doesn't matter. You can just visualize a landscape anywhere that you have some affinity for. And envision that that place. And then as you attune and connect and have that place in your mind and heart, breathe into it, center yourself, drop your energy down into your center of your body. Feel your energy ground down into your feet. So you're very present. You're very present with the landscape, with the earth. And as you drop down and connect with the earth, with that landscape in this way, know that earth's vibration is also resonating back to you. It's a parallel. As you extend your hand and your attention to someone to shake their hand, they reciprocate. It's the same way when you bring your attention down to the earth, into the earth, away from your mind, away from your logical system, bringing your attention into earth. She is aware of that vibrational shift in you, and she reciprocates, bringing her attention to you, connecting with you as though you are shaking hands. And allow your presence to be deeply with her in that way. Engage. And this brings, as you engage in this way, this brings forth a wonderful power, an energetic force to you, which you have separated, you individually and you, all of us as humanity, have separated ourselves from in the past. We are invited now to engage with the earth in a new and deeper way. Bringing our attention to her, there's a certain resonance that is given back to us and opens us up to a new font of energy, a new awareness that comes through to us, which couldn't come to us before. And in this connective place we are now, bring forth through you the white light, a sparkling white light comes through you and fills that landscape that you've connected with. Filling that landscape, as allowing it to move through you, through your heart space, into that landscape. As you do this, you're working together with the energy of that place, with the earth's energy, with the cosmic energy, with that divine force that is within all of nature and within you. And this has the energetic power to clear that which is no longer for the highest good of that place, of that landscape. So just be with this vision for a moment. The sparkling white light moving into that landscape. And as it crystallizes there, it creates a release, a clearing of the energy within the landscape you have envisioned, you're working with. And the earth invites you to do this regularly, do this continually. And she invites you to do this for yourself too. We're invited to do this for ourselves and our own bodies, to begin working with these energetic forces which we've disconnected ourselves from. This is a force that needs to be drawn upon, needs to be used by humanity. And the earth introduces us to it through this simple exercise. And so that's a short synopsis of the ways we're invited to begin to work with the earth. And it's new for us. It seems so simple. How can this have effect? But it does. It clears the energetic field for the earth when we do things like this. And when each one of us does it, recognize it's not just affecting you or this place you've worked with. Because you're working with energy, it has a ripple effect. It moves beyond you. And so each one of us, by doing things like this, and there's a whole series of 9 exercises in the book, when we do these things, it creates benefits that ripple beyond us, move beyond us, because we're working with energy, which is much more fluid than when we work with our 3D physical world.
As you became in tune and began listening to the Earth and the inspiration that moved you to write Earth Speaks Up, were there any messages or feelings you got from Earth that communicated its feeling about how it feels it's been treated by humanity?
You know, the interesting thing, Daniel, I was astounded. The whole time I was taking dictation from the Earth in this book, and this ensued over this dictation. I took it over months and years. Came forth for this book, and even now, when I connect to the Earth, I was astounded at the unlimited love I felt coming from Earth for humanity, and it was because we all recognize what humanity's done to the planet, especially over this past century, the past few decades. The destructive we've treated the planet, and a lot of times we did it with ignorance because we were so focused on our human needs, and the injury we've caused to the planet. And now it results in things like climate change and global warming, which is, very stressful for all of nature. But still beyond that, there's this unbelievable flow of love. And I feel like the Earth wanted me to take this dictation, wanted us to know this information, because she cares for humanity so very much, and because she wants to bring this relationship back into balance so very much. So I was astounded at that, at the amount of love there is there for us. And just this longing from Earth for us to, okay, wake up, listen to me, engage with me, work with me, because now I feel the Earth can no longer do it herself. It's getting harder and harder for her to bring her physical being back into balance. And now is the time, she needs humanity to step up and recognize the role we have always had, we truly have now, and it's time for us to step into that role and work together with her as a co-creative partner. And when we do this, everything can change. Everything.
Many years ago, as I was on the Oregon coast, I stopped in one of the many neat little coastal shops they have there, places tourists go and they get gifts, things like that. And there was at one point that I came across a poster that was for sale. And what it was just a poster of, I guess, a photograph of Earth as seen from space. Mm. And I remember that I stood there for the longest time just looking at this, and it really came alive for me as you look at this big, blue, beautiful circle globe, if you will. And at the same time, I had to imagine what it must have been like for the astronauts as they were flying, rocketing up to the moon and coming back. And it's been said many times by people who have traveled into space, the profound change they had as they were able to come back and see and take in the fullness of what Earth was. And I just, this was just a poster, but I must have stood there easily for 15 minutes just taking that in. I almost bought it, but I thought, there's got to be something a little bit better out there than this, or even a lot better, for instance, and there is, obviously. But, what are your thoughts about something like that?
Oh, I love that experience you had, Daniel. That's just, it's like the earth reaches through to us in any way she can to connect with us, to resonate with us. And I bet you were so, this is my guess, you were so enraptured by that poster because you were connecting in through that to who the earth really is, and I think just I've heard that story about the astronauts who they come back with a whole different perspective on Earth because they've been able to shift away and see more expansively. And you really resonated with that experience through the poster, which is wonderful. And in a way, through these exercises in the book, too, the earth invites us to resonate with her, to join with her, to connect, as you felt that connection through a poster. And it's so easy for us, once we bring our attention to earth, to connect in that way. We don't have to be astronauts going out into outer space to change our perspective and to have a really expansive experience. We can be right here through a poster or through a book like Earth Speaks Up or through our own meditations, connecting into Earth, and connecting to her resonance as we did simply through this exercise, as one hand connecting to the other. And I think this is what it's all about. And once we start doing that, I guarantee you more and more richness of that relationship will come to you. You don't have to be an astronaut because it's right here. And there's lots of tools like meditating with a poster, just being captured by a poster or a book or whatever else speaks to you. Really bring your attention deeply to Earth, and she'll express. She'll express whether through a vibration, an idea, a feeling, words. I get it in words. Some people do. Other people get an inspiration or a thought or an emotion or just that connection. I can just go on and on about the richness of a relationship we can develop with Earth. It can be wonderful for us all.
I know as I was growing up, I had the fortunate experience of being out in nature quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And that includes things like going out to summer camp, doing a lot of camping. And I really enjoyed going out and just going for walks. Sometimes I enjoyed fishing. But for the most part, I could put the fishing pole down and just enjoy and take in the scenery of a lake or the sound of a river, including and watching rapids or the rhythm of the ocean. In fact, I remember many years ago as I first began taking on meditation, as I was learning about how to do it, counting the breaths, I remember, was one of the ways that you began starting to do this. And in my mind, and it's because I also served in the United States Navy, so I was actually out on the ocean, is that as I began to count breaths like taking breath in, I could actually see in my mind is the swelling, the upswelling of the ocean, and then the swelling going down, and then up again. So as I was counting my breath, the numbers disappeared, and I was just in the rhythm of that ebb and flow of the ocean. And I love going out and looking up into the sky, whether it's in the daytime or at night, and enjoying sunsets. And not to undermine anyone else's experience by any means, because it's different for everybody. You hear people say, well, I love sunsets or I love sunrises, and you kind of wonder, but do they just really take it in? And again, not to undermine anybody's experiences, but as I was reading in your book, Earth Speaks Up, you can see how you begin to take on, once you take it in, as you obviously have done, there's this magnetic poetry. It's almost its own earth song through you, though, in your way, that a person takes on, especially when it comes to stillness. And when you think of, for instance, the day and age that we're in with this COVID-19 going on here, that I see people more in parks now.
Mhm.
And they really, it feels like community. I keep telling people, I don't see this whole thing as a bad thing. Yes, there is tragedy. But to see couples out there in the park sitting on the grass together, these aren't things you see that often anymore. Or you see families, for instance, little children, just people walking. I mean, people out there in parks, and this isn't something that I've seen a whole lot of in the last 10, 15, 20 years. And I've even noticed even the cellular devices that you tend to always see as though people were born with them in their hands are all gone. It's like people are actually going for the walk,
Mhm.
and they are out there in it. And it's a pretty wonderful thing to think, maybe this whole thing is Earth's way, not of being punishing, but saying, here's a special treat I want to give you guys. I'm going to shut this whole thing down. Not my intention, but to get us to be quiet, to still ourselves, and do some reflection, and especially in that stillness and that quietness, perhaps begin to listen to me. And I think it's obviously people say this is going to change our lives forever. It's a new world now. And it's about time.
Mm. Yeah, I just love everything you're saying, Daniel. It totally resonates with me and my perception, too, of
Well,
what's going on
your
right
book
now.
has that kind of effect on people who would read it.
Mm. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like you're in California, right?
No, actually, Arizona.
You're in Arizona. I knew you're out west. I'm in Massachusetts, and the same thing is going on here. Everyone's out in parks too during this time. Everyone's outdoors, being in nature and enjoying nature. And I'm thinking, just as you're thinking, that this quiet time we're all having, yes, there is this difficulty, this trauma of the pandemic of the COVID-19, and that we see as a horrible burden and a trauma. But if we peel back that veil, that perception, underneath it is this gift to us as humans too. This gift that you mentioned, Daniel, of being this quiet time, this opportunity for us to bring about change with our relationship with the planet. This is a time that invites us to go into a deeper connection. Yes, we see ourselves being pulled outdoors, more into the parks, into the woods, spending time outdoors. But the earth encourages us, don't stop there. Move beyond that. Move deeply into a resonance with me, your planet. Move deeply into a new connection at this time. And as this information is coming through me right now, Daniel, I feel an, my eyes start to water because there's such intense emotion coming forth from the earth too. She is an emotive, expressive being also. There's this deep longing for humanity to come back into resonance. Humanity had this at one point eons ago, and we've separated ourselves. And now, right now, at this point in time, with this COVID-19 pandemic, peel that veil back, is the resonance of Earth inviting us to use this quiet time. As you mentioned, Daniel, this quiet time, something special. Use it to go into a deeper relationship with her. Each one of us individually. It doesn't matter that what other people are doing, that humanity and the government is still out there doing destructive things to Earth. What matters is what each one of us brings our attention to Earth. That's the gift. And as each one of us does it, it has effect. And the Earth is conveying, now's the time. Now's the time. In your quiet time, you're not busy with your busyness of the day, of your work. And now's the time to make this change for yourself. And we make this change for self right now, it can have a really exciting, powerful effect because we're working at the energetic level, as I said, and so much can change in this time. And it's just like I feel this excitement if we each step up and connect in with Earth. And if you don't know how to do it, get the book. And get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And for me, it's not about selling book. It's about wanting so much for people to see and to know, here's your new relationship with Earth. Here's a way you can use your quiet time right now. This can be a wonderful gift from you to Earth. So, Daniel, yeah, I'm excited about that idea. You mentioned quiet time and how to use it. So I get wrapped up in just really wanting to encourage others to step into that idea you brought forth.
It's an amazing experience too, and there's an exercise that I wanted to bring up that I thought was pretty unique. I've heard about it before, but it's also something to a degree that I'll do whenever I'm out walking, hiking, whatever the case is. And I love that people, so often when they get out in nature, they really do enjoy it. And sometimes maybe they haven't had that chance, though. It's funny how sometimes you'll even hear people as you go out into the forest, wow, this is just a bunch of trees. Well, that's really unfortunate that you think that way. Mm-hmm. And this next exercise I wanted to talk about, I thought was something I'd like to bring up because just recently we had on the program a board-certified health practitioner who works with gemstones. Mm. And it was really a lively segment that we had as she talked about how these gemstones actually help to heal by resetting, if you will, or uploading new software, if you will, in the human inner bodies. And what she was saying is that now as it was funny to hear what she said yesterday about, and it was the same thing I had heard on a radio program just the night before, where an astrologer was saying we're moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And she literally said the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is pretty wild. And what she had suggested was that Earth right now was getting a new, what do you want to call it, a systems upgrade in the Earth's heart chakra. Mm. And when you take a look at, and it was really profound, some of the things she was talking about, but when you think about that, she says, do you notice now that for instance, you're hearing a lot in the news, as especially they break into commercials, we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And that it took something like this for us to finally say that when we've lived with that feeling of being so separate. Mm. And she says, isn't it amazing that this is happening in the year 2020? And when she said that, that really blew my mind. Think about it, 2020. Our vision is becoming cleared.
Oh, I like that. And I'll be,
that's
wow.
What I said. I had a wow moment, like, I didn't think about it that way before.
Wow, I wouldn't have thought of that either. That's amazing. Wow.
But the exercise I wanted to bring up is you talk about tuning in to a rock. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's a big segment of the book is about attuning us to the energy currents of rocks, which was totally new to me. But it's when we step back in the bigger picture, that's the primer for showing us how to view everything on the planet differently, whether it's rocks or trees or horses or whatever it may be, to open our perception to seeing everything differently. And so in the book, the Earth and the Angelic Guides start with rocks because rocks are the fundamental formative structure of the Earth body. And what's presented to us, we just see a rock as this inert thing that's, just a thing. Um, but a rock is not an inert thing. What we're shown through this book is that rocks are these incredible channels of energy for the planet and for all of nature. Rocks carry vibration, very clear and powerful vibration for the planet and for all beings on the planet, including humans. And ancient societies knew this, such as the ones that built Stonehenge and the Incan pyramids, Aztec pyramids, and all these things, the pyramids in Bosnia. Ancient societies knew how to work together consciously with the energy of rock. And humanity over the ages really lost that, not just separate ourselves, we lost our understanding of what rock really is. And the vibrational currents from the cosmic realm that are carried into the earth body and held here for the earth to work with. And so there's a series of exercises that help bring us into attuning to rocks and connecting in with that the energetic vibration carried by rocks. And I think I'm not familiar with working with gemstones, and I know a lot of people are and have a lot of expertise in that, and that each gemstone carries a certain type of vibration. As you said, this person could work with that in healing essence. But it's not just gemstones. All rock. This granite rock sitting out in the park, this rock that's in a stone wall, they all carry a vibration, and each one we can attune to and work. And as we as humans, as an individual, connect with the energy of rock, put our hands around that rock and attune, just invite our attention to come in, to coalesce with the vibration of that rock. It has the effect of opening that energy expansively. When we attune to it, it is sort of opened into our consciousness so the energy it carries can flow more fully into the human realm. Because rocks, all of nature, everything in nature is a spiritual being, a conscious living being. We see rocks as inert. They're not. They're conscious spiritual creations that carry a vibrational force. That's something for us to connect with and work with and work together with for the benefit of ourselves and our own healing, as people do with gemstones, but also for the benefit of the planet too. When we join in working with rocks and the rock forces and rock energy vibration, then we multiply. It has a multiplicative effect that benefits the earth. And this kind of, when I talk about this way, it's very kind of esoteric and new. But as you sink into reading a little more fully about it or understanding a little more, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. And once you delve into it a little more deeply.
Well, sure, and if anybody's ever had the wonderful experience, for instance, of being in the Southwest, places like Arizona, which incidentally has more mountains than any other place in the United States. There's some more than 3,000 mountains. I mean, they're everywhere here. And the formations and the things you see down here are incredible. And I just moved down here from the Northwest, actually, just about 3 years ago. And it really came alive for me because as a young child, I really enjoyed, as I learned to reading about dinosaurs. And then I became very ravenous about it, grabbing big, thick books. And with that also came a lot of geology. And so coming down here, it all came alive because as people come to study something like this, they'll realize, millions of years ago, a place like Arizona, New Mexico, even Utah were actually under vast seas. So we're actually at the bottom of the ocean. And you see these formations that were underneath the water, and now they've become the landscapes. If anyone has ever had the opportunity to visit places like northern Arizona and southern Utah, the Valley of the Monuments, you could literally hear, in my opinion, or my experience, I should say, like sort of an ancient voice. Believe me, because when you're out in the Monuments Valley, it just overtakes you with its vast ancient power. And it's not something I'm making up. It's you can't get enough. You could take all the photos you want and film all you want, but it doesn't capture your experience when you're there. It just doesn't do that. And when I think of rocks, for instance, and I was reading that bit, I started thinking of the sport of rock climbing. Now, there would be those that probably, as they're starting out, would say, or have the thought, I'm going to go and conquer El Capitan. You know, this idea we need to conquer things, that we have this strength and ability to overtake these things, that we're in control. However, now let's go ahead and take over another sport which I find fascinating in its spiritual experience and philosophy, and that is that of surfing. You never hear surfers say, we want to conquer that wave. You hear them say, I would like to be able to ride it. In other words, to have permission. And there was a time we had a guest on the program that talked about surfing, and I brought up that at the time I was enjoying a documentary called Riding Giants, which is the history of big wave surfing. And as I was watching this, probably for the second or third or fourth time, I don't know, it's just a beautiful movie to watch. It came to me how when a surfer got to a level, and it could be a little wave as big as 2 or 3 feet, or one as big as we're looking at 40 or 50 feet. I mean, the Riding Giants, these waves are pretty gargantuan. That the ocean has seen the due diligence, has experienced the due diligence and the respect that a surfer has had to get in tune or to attune with its natural rhythms and says, you know what? I love that you respect me, so I'm going to allow you to play with me, and you're going to have some of the best surfing that anybody has ever seen, and we're going to do this together. And it came to me that there was this wave now that was more than just this inanimate object, but a way of Earth saying, you know, I'm glad you're out here playing with me, man. Let's have a good time. And when I think of the devastation that I'm beginning to hear on Mount Everest, with these people with cash, that this is one of their bucket list things to go do, which is to get to the apex of the tallest thing on planet Earth, there are parts of me that become sad because of that lack of respect.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and as you mention this about Mount Everest, I'm feeling in tune with that. And what is happening at Mount Everest is it's feeling burdened. It's feeling burdened by what the detritus people have left, but also people have left their suffering there too. There's a lot of, because of a lot of the arduous task, and there's death. The detritus and the suffering have been burning that mountain, and so it needs a clearing, like as we talked about, you can do with the landscape. It really needs humanity to link and join with it. It's more than what one person can do. But as humanity may choose to link, or not all of humanity, a group of people may choose to link and join with Mount Everest in doing that energetic clearing we spoke about, or something along those lines. It releases that burden on Mount Everest, but it will have a ripple effect. Because of the nature of what Mount Everest is, it can move beyond just that mountain and connect into the chain of mountains there and move more expansively. So this is just coming through now, as you mentioned, Mount Everest, the need for even a small group of people to figuratively link. You don't have to be on the site to link with that mountain. Bring in a healing vibration to it, the white light, to help it release what it's holding. And then this has a transformative effect it echoes back to what you were talking about, Daniel, the partnership people, the ocean and nature feel, the earth feels with people riding the waves. That partnership, people link into the wave, as you described. That partnership that's felt then with the surfers can also be brought to things like Mount Everest. We don't even have to be mountain climbers to do it. We can do it at a distance from our homes, or maybe as you felt moved by that poster, maybe we find a picture of Mount Everest and a few of us connect in with that and do a meditative exercise on that. And it's interesting to me as I'm just getting this information that when we work with a mountain that has such purpose as that one does, it has a magnetic ripple effect beyond itself. And humanity just hasn't recognized the role we need to play. As you said, people feel they have to attack a mountain and climb it and accomplish this off their bucket list. No. It's about, what does this mountain need in partnership from me? Just as you had this lovely parallel between the surfer and the wave, that partnership. So it's something we can offer. We don't have to be mountain climbers to do it. It's something we can just offer from our homes and our own consciousness.
Absolutely. I know many years we had on our program, a good few years ago, a gentleman on the program by the name of Mick Dodge. And people should look him up. They actually had a National Geographic feature on this man who simply decided to go out and live in nature. And it's really entertaining to see, first of all, some of the photographs. If you look up Mick Dodge, this guy looks like some kind of a strange, weird-looking Bigfoot. You know, he's in there in the trees and looks like he was actually born from them, if you will. And so if you're thinking of let's say, a mountain man kind of looking image, forget it. This isn't something you'll see. This guy actually looks like he may even seem like he's off his rocker, but it was rare to me to find somebody who, looking or having that initial appearance that he did, to be as lucidly intelligent as he was. And one of the things that he talked about was, and this is a great way for people to connect with nature too if they can, is next time you're out, take your socks and shoes off and simply walk barefoot. And he was talking about how apparently in the human foot there is some 40,000 nerve endings. I myself, if I get on the gravel, if it ain't smooth grass or sidewalk, I have a pretty, as the Native Americans might call me, hey, tenderfoot.
Yeah, like the
but
rest.
It's true. You can really feel that. And I don't know if I'll ever get used to being able to walk on surfaces like that. Probably not. But, you know, there's another way we can think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're saying just through our feet, bringing our attention into earth as we walk with every step. Is that what you're expressing?
Pardon me?
Yeah, you're just saying through our feet, bringing our attention into earth.
Right, exactly.
Our feet, our conscious awareness.
And also bringing the energy of earth through as well. Because you always hear, for instance, people would say those hippie types walk barefoot and connect with the earth and take in its energy, but there's a lot of truth to that.
I think there is, because it's really about bringing ourselves out of our heads. We get so stuck trying to figure things out in our minds and analyze with our minds, when really we just need to drop down to our center or drop down to our feet and allow a new awareness to rise up to meet us. It's not about working with our logic, rational mind. It's about allowing ourselves to move beyond that, to expand beyond that into a new consciousness. And as you said, this guy was doing it in his own way, and a hippie person was doing it in their own way. But it's something we can all do. We don't have to become, hippies or like that guy you described. We don't have to become like that. It's something we can integrate in our daily lives now. And maybe simple things like walking barefoot help remind us okay, where's my attention? Where's my energy? What am I connecting, bringing to Earth? What am I receiving from Earth? Mm-hmm.
Well, it's such a lively and wonderful discussion to have you here on the program, Mary. Again, for the listeners out there, the book is Earth Speaks Up. It's a dynamic new perspective on Earth and your role here. I wonder, Mary, do you have anything new and upcoming that people can look forward to? Is there a website they can visit to find out more about your work?
Yeah, I have a website, and I post blogs on it periodically. My website is just my name, Mary McNerney, Mary, McNerney.com. And on that website, it's all about the book, and then there's different blogs I share with new information coming from Earth, or just new perspectives and new and some fun stories of experiences I or others have had in doing these exercises with Earth. So, I invite people to visit that, and now in this quiet time, let's just join in and join with Earth in this wonderful new way, because it just will benefit us individually and societally and in planetary ways. It's a wonderful opportunity we have right now. As you said earlier, Daniel, it's like this quiet time is a gift.
Anything you'd like to leave our listeners with as a special message from Earth that perhaps they should know about that you have received?
Let's see. There's so many messages.
See what comes to you.
Yeah. Let's see. And what I'm getting right now is the time. What's happening now, because of this quiet time that's on Earth right now, humanity is quiet. There's not all this activity. What's happening now from Earth, she's expressing this to me right now, I'm getting an image, is that the Earth, in a way, her body, her energetic field can open up more. It's not as kind of sort of held back a little bit by all the human activity, traffic, airplanes doing busy. We lay on the surface of her body. Since that is now quiet, her essence, who she is, can kind of open up more. I'm seeing like a fan opening up in a way, or when we open up our arms. Her energetic field, her energetic consciousness is now at this point more able to flow more freely into our society, into our realms. And so now is a time she's opening up to us. She's able to open up to us more fully. So she invites us to dive into connection with her, as you would dive into a wave. Dive in deeply to this new connection, this new relationship with her, because she's ready to bring forth something new to humanity, something new to society. It's an essence of who she fully is, and this will reverberate through each one of us, so we will begin to see who we fully are. We've been wrapped up in our intellectual pursuits, our material pursuits for some period of time, some centuries now. And now is a time for we will be able to, starting now in this quiet time, we will be able to delve more deeply into our energetic being, our energetic consciousness, our source. She just really wants to leave us with this message that now is a time to dive into working with the energetic fields that are the foundation of all life. And she's given us this book to show us how to begin doing that. This book is a primer to teach us, introduce us to the new direction of our society, our planet, ourselves and our planet. We're not separate. And as we see those banners as we see those banners on the news and around town, we're all in this together. I just want to read you, if we have 1 minute, I want to read you this one quote. This is from Chapter 1 in the book, Humanity's Role Now, is the title of Chapter 1. It is time for, and this is Earth, I'm quoting Earth, it is time for humanity to awaken to the togetherness of what you and I truly are. We are one consciousness traveling together. And I love closing with that quote. As you see those signs on TV or around your town, we're all in this together. The we is not just us people. The we is us and Earth. It is time for humanity to awaken to the togetherness of what you and I truly are. We are one consciousness traveling together. You and I, you and Earth. We and Earth are one consciousness. We are in this together with our planet Earth.
And certainly from the perspective of, let's say, an astronaut, if you pull back, I mean, one of the neatest scenes in a movie that I can think of in recent times is in the movie Contact, starring Jodie Foster.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And the way they pull back from Earth, first you're hearing all the noise and everything, and then it pulls back, and pretty soon you realize, wow, we're really out there. So you better believe we are all in this together.
Yeah.
It's an amazing perspective. That's like one of my favorite scenes in a movie of all time.
I remember that. I'm so glad you reminded me of that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. So
the
again,
we is not just us people. The we.
Yeah, the we. You better believe it. You better believe it.
Yeah.
Earth Speaks Up is the title of the book, and our guest today, Mary McNerney. Mary, one more time, give out your website for our listeners.
It's Mary McNerney, Mary, McNerney.com.
Very good. Mary, thank you for sharing the wisdom of the earth and how people can actually learn to attune to it. So from this point forward, as they say, we are in this together. Let's think beyond just our individual selves as humans, but all of us, because it's a pretty amazing time we're living in. Thanks again for being on the program.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's been a treat.
Thank you. We want to thank you, the listeners out there, since we're all in this together. Be sure to visit us at our website, join us there, and sign up for our weekly e-newsletter and keep up to date with what's going on in the world of Beyond 50 as well as our upcoming shows. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for joining us. This is the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, live your day past halfway.